Hey everyone, how's it going? It's the Flying Pig here on Flying Pig United. I've just woken up. Yeah, I know it's midday, but I had a bit of a lie-in today. Oh, just literally rolled out of bed. Not feeling too great. I've got on the internet, as you do sometimes when you wake up in the morning, for various reasons. And I have seen that Ander Herrera has released a video on social media basically thanking United fans and confirming that he will be departing from Manchester United at the end of this season come the summertime transfer window. So just want to see what you guys think about it, give you my thoughts and reactions on it. Of course, Ander Herrera has been an important player for us over the last few years. He's one of the few players that actually does play with a bit of bottle, that does play with a bit of fight, that is somewhat of a leader. But he's no Roy Keane, is he? Let's be honest now. I mean, he is a great player. Actually, hang on. Let's backtrack a little bit. He is a good player, and he will be missed at United because, like I say, he is one of those players that has showed some spirit and fight for United's cause over the last couple of years. And he's I would put him definitely on the side of the the lesser prima donna side of Manchester United's current squad. But at the same time, I mean, you've fought for this red shirt for a few years, Ander. You come from Bilbao. Manchester United's given you a great platform, and first opportunity, you just want to do one for more money. Is that what it is? Going to Paris Saint-Germain for more money. I mean, personally, I'm pretty disappointed with the lad because I thought Ole Gunnar coming in, new mentality, new future, hopefully new style, and he would probably be up for the challenge. He'd be up for the fight. I understand Manchester United did offer him a contract, a reasonable contract, somewhere maybe in the region of 150k a week, to continue giving his services to Manchester United. But unfortunately, he didn't want to accept that. He's obviously looking for more money. Maybe you could argue that it's also a move on his part to actually win some things, because at this moment in time, Manchester United are not really in the mix. We're certainly not in the mix for the Premier League, Champions League. I mean, we're miles off, aren't we? The standard of football we're playing at the moment and the lack of players we've got in the squad. But this is just one more player that will be going. Apparently, he'll be going to Paris Saint-Germain. Seems very likely on a free transfer, which will be a good signing for them because he is a good player. He does play with his heart on his sleeve. He does fight most of the time, even if he does look like a Ken doll. So there you go. I mean, it's quite disappointing because, like I say, Ander has always been a fighter for us. He might not be a fighter like a Keno or a Scholesy, but still, out of this band of merry melters, he's probably the one with the most heart, which just makes you think, God, what's going to happen to this side if we don't make some key signings? Some really key signings. I mean, there's talk of this Daniel James lad coming in for £15 million. Great. That's the sort of player I want to see, a prospect for the future, somebody who will fight for his place in this side, who will relish pulling on that red shirt. Not some overpaid prima donna, not some Ken doll who wants to go to play PSG and earn twice as much. No, we want fighters at United, and the only way you're going to get fighters and not mercenaries at this stage is not to go out there and spend 60 million, 80 million pounds on a player. I mean, in maybe like Harry Maguire's case, that might make sense because he does seem to have the bottle and the bollocks that we are looking for right now. But we don't need to go out there, spend big in the window, put more pressure on ourselves, and also not even be guaranteed that you're truly going to get a fighter, somebody that's passionate, somebody that's going to come in and fight for their place in the side and fight for that red shirt. We don't really know that. Oh, I've got a bit of a bad chest this morning. Anyway, everybody who is tuning in, thanks for stopping by on the live stream. Do us a favour, smash a like on this video. Of course, it's end of the Premier League. Cardiff versus Manchester United later. I'm going to try and do something for that. Shout out to Maximilian7 here. Shout out to Simon Benson. Excuse me. So, yeah, let's just see what your initial reaction and thoughts are to the news that Ander Herrera will be leaving Manchester United. Of course, he has been a good player for us over the years. Not a great player, but a good player. Certainly somebody who I thought would still be here next season. Because at the end of the day, he seemed like he was happy at United. He seemed like he was willing to fight for United. And I can't imagine Ole Gunnar Solskjaer said to him, look, you're not part of my plans, mate. If anybody, he should be saying that to some of the more overpaid types of players we've got at the club that are also not doing the business. At least Herrera has translated into some sort of a good play over the years for Manchester United. It's translated onto the pitch. And of course, he has improved quite markedly since coming here from Bilbao. I mean, it's a funny one, Ander Herrera, because he's had a good time at Manchester United without ever really setting the world alight. It's not like he's come in and he's just been like Lionel Messinio, is it? No. He's been pretty average, so it's not a huge loss for Manchester United, this one. I would have liked to have kept him because he seems like a good fighter, he's passionate. But we can go out there and get somebody better. Surely Ollie can go out there and get somebody better in the summertime. Hamad Al Ali, nice to see you. He comments hi. Hi to you, Ali. Thanks for stopping by on here. Or Hamad, sorry. Stay Clint comments, yo, Pig, my main man. How's it going, Clint? Nice to see you in here, buddy. It's all going well. Can't actually breathe at the moment, you know. I've just woken up, got a bit of a tight chest. Breslin, hello to you. We've got a comment here from Nava Neath who comments, this is not fair when we have some clowns like Shitty, Jones and Smalling. Well, hey, you're absolutely right. I mean, there's so many more players ahead of the likes of Herrera that should be leaving Manchester United before. But I just hope this is a sign of things to come. I hope that Ollie is truly having a proper clear out at Manchester United here. It's funny how it's the one player pretty much that we would have liked to have seen stay based on his actual impact, based on the way that he plays, based on his desire, based on his passion. So, you know, it's not worked out too well, I don't think, at the moment. But obviously we do have a lot of time left in this summer transfer window to try and go out there and sign a top quality player as a replacement, which is what we need to do. It's really what we needed to do anyway. Because I'm sorry, the likes of Pogba, the likes of Matic, just not good enough for this United's midfield. Herrera's gone. That basically forces our hand. Now we have to go out there and sign a top quality player. Because, you know, Fred's a good player, don't get me wrong, but I don't ever think he's going to really set the world alight. The problem is we have players like, you know, Herrera and Fred, who are all good players. They're good, you know, 3.5-star players, if you like. We need a 5-star player. We need somebody who's got a great mentality as well. And I'm not talking about going out there and spending 100 million on someone as a gamble coming to the Premier League. They may or may not do it. They may or may not play based on how much money they're being paid. No. We need to do what, you know, we should have been doing over these last few years, which is sign players like Daniel James, sign players who are young, who have something to prove, who have a cause to fight for, who show leadership qualities out there on the pitch, who show passion out there on the pitch, who fight, who have desire. And I'm not saying Herrera doesn't have those things. I think he does have those things, which is even more worrying why we've let him go so easily. But at the end of the day, he's probably asking for too much money. The quality of the player he is maybe doesn't demand that money. PSG will pay him more money. That's basically the long and short of it. What can we do about it? Well, there's not really a lot you can do apart from hopefully sign a quality replacement for him. But I completely agree with you, Nathan Heath. You know, we've got clowns like Smalling, we've got clowns like Jones, we've got clowns like Ashley Young, who was handed a new contract recently. Why? Why was he handed a new contract? I mean, the guy's been absolutely gashtastic for a good couple of years now. I know he was good for us. I know he has been a good servant to the club. But not to the United level. Too many inconsistencies. And it's not really his fault. He's being played out of position, really. You know, the lad's an aging winger, really. Shouldn't be played in, full-back positions all over the gaff. So I feel for the lad, but still, the point is, we've got players at United that really shouldn't be here anymore. Lots of players. I mean, Valencia is a man after my own heart. I love that guy. I love that guy's commitment. I love what he's done in his time at Manchester United. But it's time for him to go. And that's not really based on performances because I think he's always been pretty solid for us. Ashley Young, it's time for that guy to get on and do one, even though he's been handed a new contract. Not to the United's level. And of course, Smalling, Jones, there's lots of people. Even the younger, even the bigger names, even, like people like Lukaku, people like Sanchez, people like Pogba, they're just not doing it, are they? They're a complete pile of wank. So really what we should do is just get rid of the lot of them. Been saying it for a long time. Ander Herrera is one of those players I thought we'd actually stick with because he's pretty good. He's pretty passionate. He fights for every ball. I like him. I like the way he sort of leads by example out there. He is a leader. He's probably our only leader that we've actually got in the side, basically. So it's a loss, but at the same time, he's not the best player in the world. We can do better. We need to do better. This window is going to be huge for us. Are we able to find that suitable replacement? Are we able to find a replacement that's actually going to improve our side? Because that's what we need to do. Get rid of Static, Matic, Twatic, Frankenstein. Get rid of freaking Paul Pogba. And shore up the midfield. Get some quality in there. Get some players who, don't only have technical ability but also have desire and fight and ambition. That's something we need. I don't want to see us go out there and sign, a really well-known player around Europe now, paying them 300-400 grand a week and paying £80 million for them. Those days are gone. That is not what Manchester United should be doing right now. Maximilian says, "Hey Pig, sick haircut, buddy. I'm sure you're taking the piss there, but thanks very much for stopping by." RB Comps, David Shrini, thanks so much for coming by here. BO comments, "It's an absolute calamity." Well, look, I kind of see what you're saying. He has been important for us. He does fight, but at the end of the day, he's only freaking Ander Herrera, isn't it? Come on. He's not the best player we've got. I hate to tell you this. I mean, he may have maybe more cojones than most of the players, which is half the battle. But it's not the biggest loss I've ever seen in my life. Lanu Patu comments, "But all United fans loved Herrera." Yeah, we do. I wouldn't say... I love Ryan Giggs. I love Paul Scholes. I love Eric Cantona. I love Peter Schmeichel. I don't really love Ander Herrera, okay? I appreciate him as a player. I appreciate him fighting for the cause, fighting for United. Appreciate him as a footballer. But that's really about, sick goal against Yeovil Town in the Carling. There's few and far between some of the moments. But at the end of the day, he is still a Manchester United player. He has still performed for United over the years. He has still fought for United. And he's done a lot better than a lot of the other players we've got. So I have to respect Ander Herrera's input to Manchester United and say that, we do love him. I know I'm just being a little bit jestful there by saying I love those other guys more, which is true because they're true legends of the club. And it's very difficult to even come close to those guys. The only way you're truly going to come close to those guys is if you have a really consistently good career for a long time at Manchester United. And Ander Herrera has shown that he's not going to be that stalwart at Manchester United. He wants to leave. He wants to go to PSG, maybe go to greener pastures, fight for a Mickey Mouse League One trophy every year, which is a given. Get his hand on some Mickey Mouse silverware. Have a shot in the Champions League. Oh, hang on, didn't we just knock them out of the freaking Champions League? And we're shit. I mean, come on, it's not like they're really going to realistically win the Champions League anytime soon. Although you'd have to say PSG's team at the moment is a lot better than Manchester United. And they are filled with mercenaries. So what does that tell you, really? I don't really know. But United need to seriously sort ourselves out this summer. Get some quality in. Get some fight in. Daniel James looks good. Spend money on Harry Maguire. Get a real leader in there at the back. Jones and Smalling not going to do it. Max says he was one of the best players who got what United is about. He should be leaving, but his name should be in the end of the exit list. How Jones and Ashley Clunge got new contracts ahead of him is beyond me. Well, you've said it all there, really. I think it just comes down to money, really. I think maybe Ander Herrera wanted more money. He's looking around the dressing room, seeing Ashley Clunge getting a new contract, seeing Phil No Bones getting paid a lot of money, and he's thinking, you know what? I'm worth more to this shithouse than those guys are, and they're getting the deal, so why can't I? And he's just asked for a little bit too much. His agent stood firm on it. United not prepared to pay that right now because we're paying 450k a week to Sanchez, aka Bruno Mars, just to sit there and do karaoke every weekend in the dressing room. We've got Paul Pogba, Lukaku on insane amounts of money. We may be a commercially huge football club, but you've got to keep that wage bill reasonably in check, otherwise it's just going to get silly. But what I would have done, 100%, is pay Ander Herrera a bit more money and sacked off Paul Pogba, sacked off Lukaku. And what I mean by sacked off is sell them on. Somebody's going to want to come and get them. Real Madrid, 100 million, whatever. It would have been easy. But there you go. United not prepared to do that. Obviously, Ole Gunnar wasn't prepared to fight and put down his chips on the table and say, boom, this is what I rate you at. This is what I value at. I'm prepared to pay that 150k a week or whatever it is that he was after. So there you go. It's a two-way street. We obviously didn't see the input to Manchester United being large enough to warrant that sort of contract. He wants a bigger contract. Somebody like PSG will give him that bigger contract, especially if he's leaving Manchester United on a free transfer, because there's obviously no transfer fee to pay to a football club. There may be a signing on fee, agent fee, that sort of thing. But still, it means that the player is in a much more favourable position to negotiate and manoeuvre for a bigger payday contract because there's less fees, there's no transfer fee in order to sign you to the football club. So that's what Herrera and his agent would have been thinking about this whole time, I'm sure. It's just the case of if we move on a free, we can get a bigger bumper deal a la the likes of Alexis Sanchez, who, of course, £450,000 a week, something like that, 400k a week that man's being paid. It's an insane amount of money. I don't know anybody that would come in for Alexis Sanchez right now based on the contract that he has, based on the performances he's put in this season, because he looks like a player that's past it. He may only be 31 years of age, but he looks absolutely past it to me. He doesn't look like he's got the special stuff in the bag anymore. He's not able to be that match winner in the Premier League. It seems, anyway, based on the last year, which is a long time to judge somebody on, really. So, but I don't think anybody's really going to be prepared to come in and pay money and then pay him the amount of money that we're paying him to play for them. Even one of the big top clubs around Europe. And I'm sure somebody like Juventus or, whoever would like to sign a player like Alexis Sanchez. They're not going to break the bank in order to do so based on the last season that he's had. James Arnold, how are you, my friend? He comments, Pogba has not had a good game for ages. Yeah, I know, since we were actually doing well under Ole Gunnar, so it's been a long time. Paul Pogba, frustrating man. He's got all the ability in the world. He could go on and be one of the best players to have ever played the game. But I don't think it's ever going to really happen for him at United. I just don't like his mentality a lot of the time. I don't like his leadership out there. Even in the previous game when we are fighting to get Champions League football, what's he doing? He's dawdling around, his head's hanging down. He's not leading or fighting or prepared to go for it. So I'd take one Ander Herrera over 10 Paul Pogbas any day of the week. So it is kind of a shame. Alex Rincon, how are you, my friend? Nice to see you in here. Thanks for stopping by, the cheeky little super chat on here. No comment to go with it, but I hope you are well. I'll see if you've commented something down here below. Maximilian says, Woodward the clown. Woodward. What would Woodward do? I tell you what Woodward would do. He'd freaking sign Danny Welbeck and get rid of Ander Herrera. That's what freaking Woodward would do. He's going to do it too. Danny Welbeck is apparently leaving Arsenal. Holy shit. Don't get me wrong. United, product of the academy, always did well for us, actually. Used all over the place as well. Whether it be on the wing or up top there. He's pretty useful, but I'm sorry, those days have gone. I don't think we should be looking to get something like that in now. I think we should be moving on, close that chapter. But that's the sort of thing Edward would do, is to get rid of Ander Herrera and sign Danny Welbeck and play him at left back or some shit like that. No, obviously it's not him that's choosing the side, but you know what I mean? We need some good signings. We need some solid signings. We need some really good leaders out there on the pitch. And I don't think Danny Welbeck is that type of player. Jarvis Cocker, hey, should we meet up in the year 2000? He comments and says, average player, only problem is that we need about 3 central midfielders to replace Ander, Fellaini and Pogba. Yeah, well, Fellaini's already gone, so I see what he's saying, but, we still got Matic, we got Fred, he was a replacement for that, McTominay, young lad, looking good, he doesn't need replacing. I'd keep hold of Fred and McTominay. Fred's not really had the opportunity to prove himself. In some games, he has looked good. In other games, he's looked pretty bang average. He's looked like he is one of the Flintstones, basically, and he's living in the Stone Age. But in other games, he's looking like a very contemporary player. So I say give him an opportunity, give him a chance. He's not really had a fair crack at the whip yet, to be perfectly honest, in this struggling United side. And then McTominay, obviously young lad, shown to be one of the best players in United's team at the moment. For a young lad, that's unbelievable. But he's got a lot to prove. He's fighting for it. He seems like a good United player for me. He's got the potential to go on and be a truly quality player for United. Fellaini, just not my type of player, to be perfectly honest with you. But yeah, I mean, United do definitely need to go out there and sign some midfielders. That's going to be a real problem area for us. Herrera going, hopefully Pogba going, hopefully Matic going. Got to bring in a couple of quality players in that position, 100%. Farham Productions commenter says, I think it's a big shame. Herrera would have been a perfect captain. Look at Milner, he's 34 and rocking it. Herrera have at least 4 years left as a consistently great player. Yeah, I mean, he does fight and he does battle out there, and that's half of it for this club. Those are the sorts of players that we need. So, of all the players that could have gone at this stage, he's the last one I would have got rid of, really. At the same time, I don't think it's that big of a loss, because I think there are better players out there we could bring in. But at the same time, he knows the club, he fought for the club, he's always represented that red shirt well, I think, under Herrera, without ever really setting the world alight. But like you say, you mentioned some good points there. I think it's just come down to the fact that maybe we thought he was that guy who pledged his allegiance to the badge, who was going to fight for this United side through thick and thin, no matter what. And money's got in the way. Money has got in the way. And that is the problem when you muddy the water at a club like Manchester United and you have players like Paul Pogba getting 300 grand a week and they're not pulling their weight. They're not earning their money. And Herrera's looking over his shoulder going, hang on, this guy over here is on triple what I am. Are you taking the piss, lads? He's bang average. I'm not having that. You either pay me what I'm worth or I'm doing one. And I think that's what's happened in this instance, because it is difficult when you just get players in, mercenaries in, Alexis Sanchez, Lukaku, Pogba, paying them a fortune of money. When other players are around the club, of course they want parity, or at least they want their worth. And unfortunately, based on Paul Pogba's performances, based on Lukaku and Alexis Sanchez's performances and how much they are paid, Ander Herrera should be on £1 million a week, based on that. So there you go. We've got a super chat here from James Arnold. Need players who are hungry and mentally strong. Absolutely. You know, Daniel James, 15 million, young, pace for days, looks hungry, looks good, will be coming into the Premier League with something to prove. And I'm not pinning all our hopes on what is a young championship lad, but I'm saying I'd rather a player like that come in than a player like Alexis Sanchez, who is being paid £400,000 a week and has had the impact of a League Two player. Well, not even that, because at least they probably fight for the badge. So there you go. I'm disappointed with our big players at the moment. It's not so much the players that are on small money that I'm disappointed with. I wanted to keep Ander Herrera, really. It's the big prima donnas we've got at the club. The people that are sucking money out of the club. They're not fulfilling their worth out there on the pitch for United. Thank you very much there, James. Ricky Singh comments, we are going to get mugged off in the transfer market. We are a mess. Well, Ricky, I think you might be right there, because we don't have Champions League football. We've got a lot of clubs around Europe also trying to sign the same type of quality player that we will be, of course. And in England alone, I mean, you know, certainly teams like Arsenal, like Chelsea, they'll definitely be looking to strengthen in the summer. If they've got Champions League football, you know, the likes of Spurs, they haven't spent anything for a long time, but they may well do in this transfer window. Bayern Munich over in Germany, Barcelona, Real Madrid rebuild job, you know. So it's going to be difficult for United to really get those quality players, but at the same time, I think that actually might work in our favour a little bit, because the last few years we've been going out there, we've been signing marquee signings a lot of the time. They've not worked out. We've got Falcao. How much was Falcao paid a week? At least $250. Didn't work out for him. Big name player, came in, was amazing before, would be amazing after, but it just didn't work at Manchester United. It was a gamble, and it didn't work out. Zlatan Ibrahimovic, same thing, huge money, but it did work out with him. He was absolutely fantastic. Loved that freaking guy. Got my hairdo on him and everything. But Zlatan, you know, that's a rare example out of all of the players that we signed over the years, really, because a lot of them we signed for big money, hoping they'd come in and do something, and they just never did. Alexis Sanchez is a fine example. Paul Pogba, Lukaku, you know. So we have spent big, and I think maybe if we can't challenge for those big marquee signings, those huge names around Europe, around the world in football, I think that will only benefit us, because it forces our hand to go there and maybe sign some of the other players that maybe the likes of City, maybe the likes of Liverpool are not looking at. And that may benefit us, because they are the sorts of players that will relish the opportunity of coming to fight for a club like Manchester United. People like that Daniel James lad, you know. Neil Duffin says, would you take Keylor Navas for a few years if De Gea doesn't sign? I mean, I would, but I'd actually sooner give it to Romero. I think we're just going out there spending too big at the moment, you know, and it's not worked out for us. We need to change our transfer policy a little bit. We do need a lot of signings, but I don't want to see us going out there necessarily paying huge money for a goalie or paying them huge money, you know, per week. Sergio Romero obviously does look like a good player. Always been a fantastic goalie when called upon. The best substitute goalkeeper in the league by a long way. He just seems like a quality goalie, a great stand-in. Will he be able to do that if you give him the reins permanently? This is a man who's been capped like 100 times for Argentina. You know, I know Argentina are not really known for their quality goalies, but still, you've got to take it seriously. He is a seasoned international goalkeeper here. And any time we've seen him in between the sticks for United, he has been quality. So I'd say it's not really a huge loss right now. Well, of course it's a huge loss, but I'm saying it's not like it's a huge loss in the sense we've got to go out there immediately and sign a goalkeeper if David De Gea does go. Of course, if he does go, then I'd like to see Sergio Romero given a chance. Or, of course, us go out there and sign another top quality player. But there you go. Calamity Jones comments and says, Herrera was a man who could wear the badge with pride no matter what mediocrity was going on around us. Blimey. I know, man. It's true. He did. He did fight. He did wear that badge well. He did always give it 100% out there on the pitch, which is even more perplexing why this transfer has happened. Not transfer, but why this contract ending, him leaving on a free transfer, is happening. It's strange. United should have done a little bit more to keep him, I think. We're too content on paying 450 grand a week to Sanchez when we could have paid a little bit more and made Herrera happy. I don't know the mentality of the lad, though. I don't know whether he's just in the situation where he's like, my contract's ending, I can go and get more money, and I can actually go and play in the Champions League, and I can actually challenge for trophies. At the end of the day, he's a Spanish lad. He has no real affinity with Manchester United, I would imagine, other than playing for us for the last few years as a job, effectively. But, yeah, from his point of view, it makes a lot of sense. Go over to League One, play for PSG, get paid more money because you're signing on as a free transfer as well, and also have the opportunity to win the League One trophy every single year while you're there, which is what you're basically guaranteed to do. Play in the Champions League, win the French Domestic Cup, whatever it may be, add a bit of silverware to your cabinet. I know he's won a couple of things while he's been at Manchester United, Carabao Cup, maybe FA Cup. He's done okay. He's won a couple of things, but certainly I think he is a player that will only... He's aging. He wants to get on. He wants to win some things. He wants to cement some sort of a legacy for himself. This is a transitional, tough time for Manchester United. You look at how far ahead the teams like Liverpool, Man City are at the moment. It's only going to get more difficult for Manchester United to really close that gap, because they've got more time and more money to work on their teams as well. We're going to have to do that. It's not going to be an overnight thing. I don't see us doing a Liverpool like they did last year, where they finished behind us, they go out there, make a couple of signings, and then bang, they're up there challenging. I don't see that happening for us, unfortunately. I think it's going to be a slow progression here. We've got to make the right moves, the right steps, sign the right people, implement the right tactics, and it's going to take a bit of time. It really is. I really, truly don't believe there's anything we can do in this transfer window to get us immediately challenging for top spot again in the Premier League next season, based on how the other teams above us are playing, how they're looking, the teams they have, the players they have. It's a very tough ask. James Mellier said we should absolutely not sign Bale. James Arnold says screw Bale. Bale was a top quality player, but he's not quite the type of player Manchester United are seeking right now. There's every possibility you could sign Gareth Bale and he'll just get injured, or he won't look up to it in a couple of games. It's not the sort of player that we really want right now. He's too injury prone for a start. You're gonna have to pay him a fortune. You're gonna have to pay Madrid a fortune. Not a great player that United could sign right now. A couple of years ago, I'd have said absolutely 100% that guy's a true match winner, one of the best in the world. But he is injury prone, and also he's just not, we need fighters now. We need fighters in there. We need leaders. He's not really one of those. He's a bit of a melter. So, yeah, I'm with you on that one. Gungshi, how you doing, my friend? He comments, it's a disgrace the way they've let Ander go. I mean, it's strange, isn't it? You've got Sanchez, you've got Pogba, you've got Lukaku, you're paying on 450k a week. He wants a little bit more for his services, which have been, to be fair to him, better than most of the other players' services that we have got over the last few years. And you're not prepared to do that. I think it is disgrace is quite a strong word. But when you look at the players that are stuck at the club, the players that have been offered a new contract, that have accepted the new contract, people like Young, people like Jones, it is a disgrace, because he should have 100% been given a new contract based on what he's done for the club over the last couple of years. He is a leader, he is a fighter, he does play with passion, he does play for the badge, and that's half the battle. It is kind of, I don't really know what we're doing at this club, because we need to sign players like Ander Herrera. That's basically what we need to do. Players with fight, players with bottle, players with passion. Yeah. Players who've got something to prove. And I think he has got something to prove, which is why he does want to go over to PSG, because he can challenge and win things and play in the European Premier competition and play with great players around him. And I get it. But yeah, I mean, I agree with you, Gungers. It is a shame that we've let him go. It's bordering on a disgrace because out of all the players that deserve to go, he's right down the bottom of the list. He's not at the top of the list. He's near the bottom of the list. So don't really get it. Thank you for your comment. Football Crew Show. It's a shame that we're letting go a decent central midfielder that could have been a future club captain. Yeah, I mean, I was calling out for him to be made captain this season at numerous times. Because he deserved it, because the way he plays, the heart on the sleeve, get stuck in, lead by example attitude. That's hugely important at a club like United right now with a bunch of melters we've got. Beata Thompson says, we need cojones, pal. Paul Pogba is castrated and so are the rest of them. Give me 11 Herreras any day. Yeah, I said it earlier on in the video. I agree with you, man. You know, we really do need people with the mentality of Herrera, really. The fight, the passion, the desire. Those are the sorts of players that we need. Not players like Ashley Young, not players like Sanchez who are just there for the money, really, I think. Or Paul Pogba, whose head goes down all the time and he just looks like a shadow of a man half the time. We need consistency and we need passion. That's what Herrera has. So the more I'm talking to you guys, the more it's pissing me off the fact that we have actually got rid of him. I was sort of indifferent about it because he's never going to be Paul Scholes. He's never going to be Roy Keane. In my opinion. But it's almost not even important. It's not even really about that at the moment. It's just about having the player who's prepared to fight in there and who does fight for you and he doesn't let his head drop. And that is what he is. Super chat here from James Arnold. The Sanchez deal has screwed everything up. Yeah, you give somebody that amount of money, bring him in on a free, or maybe with Mkhitaryan going in the other way, but effectively a free deal, which means that you can pay them an extortionate amount of money because there's no signing on fee. The agent knows they're in a strong position. They can suck a little bit more money out of you, which is what they did with us. We're paying Sanchez a huge, unrealistic amount of money. And unfortunately, what that does at a football club is it brings in this situation where Herrera's looking around. He's going, Sanchez on 450. I'm on bloody 120 a week here or whatever. I want 160 at least for the amount of, impact I have at the club and how hard I fight for the club. And we're going, nah. Sorry, mate. Our wage bill's huge. Have you not seen how much we're paying Lukaku over there? No, we can't go any higher. Not good enough, is it, really? We've had a complete nightmare there. Problem is, how are we going to get those big lads off of our books? Yeah, Pogba might be able to be sold, actually. I think there's still a lot of interest from around the world at Paul Pogba. Everton, maybe, could come in for Lukaku, something like that. But players like Sanchez, I'm sorry, we're going to be stuck with him until his contract ends, I believe. Holy crap, we've been talking on here for 32 minutes, guys. Right, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to wrap it up because I do have to get on and do some stuff before all the football starts later on. But everybody who's tuned in right now, thanks so much for stopping by on the channel. But just to reiterate my thoughts as a little conclusion to the end of this video, it's a shame Ander Herrera's leaving. I think we can go out there in the window this summer if we do back Ollie and sign a couple of players in that position that are going to do as good a job. That's my opinion. I think he is a good player. He does play with fight and desire, but there's other players out there that we could get. But then saying that, we've tried to sign a lot of players over the last few years and most of them have been shite, but we need a change in mentality now. There's no point going out there and spending big money on marquee signings. They haven't worked out for us traditionally over the last few years. They really haven't, whether it's Falcao, whether it's Sanchez. It's not worked out for United to pay people big wages or even sign people with big transfer fees involved. It just hasn't worked out for us. Pogba and Lukaku paying huge amounts for them, not a good idea. What we need to be doing is recruiting more sensibly, looking for fighters, looking for leaders. Leaders is the main thing. Phil Jones, Chris Smalling, maybe okay substitute players, but they are not leaders. They are not first team starters out there in the big games. They're not leaders. They're not consistent enough. They don't have the bottle. Absolutely not. Same with our midfield. Paul Pogba, he's not a leader to me. I'm sorry. When you go behind in the game and his head drops down and he looks like he can't be asked and he's dawdling around, that is not a leader. A leader shouts at his teammates. A leader leads by example, grabs the ball, creates things. It really puts a shift in the centre park, leads by example. When I think of a leader, I think of people like Roy Keane. I think of people like Steven Gerrard. Say what about Steven Gerrard. Gerrard was a bloody leader. He's a bloody fighter. I'm thinking about John Terry here. John Terry over at Chelsea, biggest cock piece in all the friggin' land. Great player, great leader, great fighter. One of the very best out there. Put his body on the line. Lead by example. That's what United need right now. We don't need overpaid prima donnas stinking up the place. And I'm sorry, Herrera, okay, you don't want to take the contract, move on, go to PSG, fair play to you, lad. I'm not even blaming him on this one. I think United have had a bit of a mare. We really have. Anyway, I'm going to wrap it up there. Thanks for stopping by. Smash a little cheeky like on this video if you are in here. Just wanted to pop on and give you my thoughts and reaction to the news that Ander Herrera has announced that he'll be leaving the club on a free transfer at the end of the season. Oh, what are we doing at this football club? Anyway, hopefully some news will be announced soon of some inspiring signings where we're not breaking the bank and we're bringing quality in. Let's frickin' see. We've got a lot of work cut out for us. Anyway, everybody who's tuned in, thanks for stopping by. Follow me on social media at Mr. Flying Pig HD. Do us a favour if you're new to this channel, subscribe to the channel, smash a like on it, and I'll see you very, very soon. Today, in fact. Have yourselves a good one. This is the Pig on Flying Pig United. Goodbye, Ander Herrera.